Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning. Parents, what if we could give you the power to transform your family into something absolutely amazing?
A family where everyone is healthy, gets along, loves Jesus, and has great purpose in life.
Hey, let us flip your thinking to unlock the power God has given you to create your own Crazy Cool family. Hey parents, welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast. Don Manning here today. I'm missing my beautiful bride. She is up in Arkansas, and she is helping our second daughter, not just my daughter, our second daughter with her second child, our third grandchild. So she'll be back, but take heart, parents. I am not alone. You don't have to listen to me for 30 minutes. I have a wonderful couple with me, and we're going to talk about just Crazy Cool Family and Base Camp and their wonderful family. Let me introduce to you Matt and Amanda Nelson. So welcome, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So Matt and Amanda have been doing Crazy Cool Family for a couple years, doing Base Camp for a few months as we've introduced that and launched it. Let's talk a little bit let's introduce our parents to you. I know you guys, but they don't. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves a little bit?
All right. I'm Matt and my wife Amanda here with me. We're in our 12th year of marriage, so we're like a fine wine, getting better with age. We've got 4 kids. We've got Henry 8, Mackie 6, Sayer 4, and Soren 1.
So quite the houseful.
Yes.
Busy time.
The air gets thin when you get to 4.
Yeah.
When you get to 7, it gets even thinner. But yeah. Any plans for
okay
more?
there. I think we're
We're
okay.
I think we're good.
Oh, come on. God can always change your mind.
It would be definitely have to be His will.
Yes.
But quite a house full, and Matt is quite the entrepreneur. He has businesses. He's in real estate. He is going all the time, always with a new idea, a new venture. So quite the busy life, right, Matt?
Yes, it is. It's a busy time around our household. Keeps everybody on their toes.
And 4 kids, and then Amanda, as I've known you always as a mother, but you were not always a mother, right?
Right.
You weren't born a mother.
No.
So you were something before you were a mother as well. So
Right.
what was your something before that?
I used to be a nurse before having babies.
So your kids get great medical care.
Yes. I get into nurse mode quite easy. Yeah.
Yeah. But you were telling me that you have kind of deviated from the medical world as you become more of a mom.
Yeah, I would say over the last year or two, maybe, I've learned a lot more about holistic approaches, and
We've gotten a lot more hippie
yes.
So this maybe change some of your
approaches.
nursing.
Yes, yeah. Now we put oils on several
Yeah.
times a day.
Yeah.
We have oils going in the diffuser. We do a lot of
Natural
different stuff.
toothpaste.
Yeah.
Natural
got-
toothpaste. Never quite liked the taste of that too much.
It's minty.
Oh yeah. So you guys have 4 kids, 8 to 1. I know you put them in bed early. I'm over here, and I was amazed at how early. It's always amazing to me. Suzanne and I were never good at that. We were always like, 8, 9, maybe 10 o'clock. And you guys, as so many parents now, just put their kids to bed so early. I'm so impressed with how you do that. So we're here for a late evening just to talk about Crazy Cool Family. You guys have done Crazy Cool Family for a couple years, done Base Camp for a few months. Just kind of tell parents how Crazy Cool Family, the concepts are impacting your family. What's changing in your family due to Crazy Cool Family?
Yeah, I think it's not one thing that we could say would put our hand on. It was this exact moment, but I think it's just more of the small wins that are here and there. For example, on the anger lessons that were a couple weeks ago, I asked the kids if they thought I was angry or if I raised my voice much, just expecting a quick no so I could move on from that one.
I don't think you got that.
No, I did not get that, much to my surprise. But I wanted to take it seriously.
Did you know, wait a minute, hang on a second, did you know, Amanda, he was not going to get that answer he wanted?
Yes. Although I'm surprised because I know he's not an angry dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if y'all, you guys don't
Hey,
even know.
I can show you an
like,
angry-
This
yeah.
is not what an
Yeah.
angry dad looks like. Like, you don't even know. But I can also see not where they're coming from, but I can see Matt go into not business
what they
mode, but-
say? What they say? What was their reason that you were interpretation of anger?
So they said my tone, the tone of voice that I would use to them,
The
was
dreaded tone.
the tone. And so yeah, for me there was probably just a little bit of wanting to be efficient and get things done, and yeah, business mode, or let's not, there's no time to kind of drag our feet or mope around. It's just let's do what we need to do.
And you're not.
move
It's
on.
not an angry tone. It's just a very direct.
Yeah, maybe direct.
So
And-
what did what did you decide to do with that?
Yeah, so I wanted to take it seriously, and so I decided to really not raise my voice at all, to see if I could do it almost as a personal challenge. And
Our parents will ask, how did you get them to obey without? Did you do a softer voice? How did it work?
yeah, it takes some creativity. So if we're picking up a room, we may race to see who can do the most toys or get it picked up the fastest, or I would get down on their level really close, even lower my voice and get a whisper and make sure that they were focusing only on me, to where we could maybe make a better decision and try to encourage them in that making a better decision. We could do it together and see if that made a difference. And I think it has. I think it has.
So you've been working on it a few weeks.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing some difference in maybe being more excited instead of being firm, not using the business voice.
Yeah. I think there's been some good change, and now we're just kind of trying to define, just because I tell them to pick up something, that doesn't mean I'm mean or
Yeah.
I'm mad.
Yes.
There are some things that I do get to say. I just want to do it in a way that doesn't push them away. It
Yeah,
brings us
I remember
together.
just talking to my kids sometimes, and I had 4 daughters at first, and so it seemed like I couldn't breathe, and if I breathed wrong, I was in a bad mood to them, but I remember talking to them about, okay, I still need to accomplish things. We still need the house still has to be picked up.
Yeah.
We still, so can we talk about how this happens? I'm for you, those type of things. But Amanda, you were telling me, and you said this before, is that you dealt with anger and you deal with anger in a different way.
Yeah. Mine is, it shows as more like actual anger. Like, I just get upset and frustrated, and
Put holes in walls.
not anymore.
No, used to.
That
But
was,
so you had an anger issue growing up.
yes. Yeah.
More so, you've
Yeah.
been more. You haven't had that issue more in your life,
No,
Matt.
not
But
as much.
but you had it, and then and still, there's so many times when we're younger, we have tracks that are laid in our brains, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and when we're parents, they tend to come out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought I had really done a good job at getting rid of my anger completely. Like, I thought it wasn't something I dealt with anymore until I had my daughter turn 4.
Second child.
My second child
Mm-hmm.
turned about 4 or 5.
Why not your son? Why was it that your daughter?
Henry has no anger. Like, he doesn't scream. He doesn't raise his voice. He never has.
More compliant?
No.
Oh, he's not.
No.
He's just calm about it.
He just is.
He's just calm about his disobedience.
Right.
He is very
Civil disobedience.
strong-willed and defiant.
Gotcha.
He just isn't emotional or verbal. And Mackie is very emotional.
So what hit your nerves was the reaction.
Yes.
So
And
it wasn't the disobedience itself. It partially, I'm sure, but it was also what really set you off was the reaction.
Yeah, when she gets angry and throws fits and screams and slams doors for really no reason, it lights me on fire.
You want to do the same?
Oh, yes. and I would say I knew I was on her level, being on her level, but it didn't really hit home until I started listening to you guys in the podcast and base camp, and really owning my involvement in her behavior.
Because you kind of, whether consciously or subconsciously, you justified your behavior because of hers.
Yeah.
Or
And-
just because she's the mom.
Or because
Yeah,
I'm mom
exactly.
and I get to be that way.
Right. And you don't, as the child.
Right.
The
But
child.
then once I realized, like, I'm doing exactly to her what she's doing to me. Like, no wonder she's doing this. Like, she's
Well,
seeing
and
it.
you know, one of the things you mentioned to me before is that you realize the damage that you're doing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And wasn't that getting, especially as they got to 4, 5, 6. I mean, you know, when they're 2, you don't know what's going on. They
Mm-hmm.
they can't articulate a lot of times, things like that. But when you're 4, you can see their countenance, you can see their words, and you can see them
Mm-hmm.
withdraw and things like that, right?
Yeah. And Mackie is not afraid to say anything. And she would get to where she would be like, you don't like me anymore. And you don't even want to be around me. And those hurt my heart because that's not my heart. And so I knew that change had to happen.
And so what did you do? So you've got, I mean, you know, you've got these issues and, you know, what did you do to change that?
I think one of the big things that I have really worked hard on and hearing Suzanne talk about is the respond before you react and just stopping. Like, if I get upset in a moment, I stop. I either walk away or I usually walk away and take a bunch of deep breaths and pray. And sometimes I just explain to them what's happening. Like, I need a moment. I'm going to stop and I'm going to walk away. Just give me a second. And then I'll come back and talk to you about this.
What about your what about your little guys? Has it been easier with them now that you've been practicing?
Yeah, Mackie is my hard one.
Yeah.
It comes out with her, which is really sad because, like, she's my only girl. She's the only girl, and she really needs that mom-daughter bond. So it's something I just really want to continue work on every day because it's constant.
We talk a lot about asking forgiveness and reconciling. Is that working with her when you're when you do have a meltdown or she does or whatever?
Yeah, I'll go to her, and you have to wait till she calms down. Like, once we can both calm down, she is really receptive to me asking for forgiveness and just talking it. I talk things out too much. That's another thing I've learned. Like, I can't rationalize with her. I have to just stop and walk away and not just sit and keep going.
Yeah.
Like, I keep going and I have to stop.
It's so, parents, there's so much in here that, it's like people say, how do you become a crazy cool family? You just keep practicing these things that we're talking about, and they start to influence the relationships in your home. I mean, Matt, you've talked about and I just keep going back to things that are in our podcast or in our base camp videos of getting down on eye level, of speaking softly, of being excited, about doing things, of turning it into a game instead of a control deal. You were talking about responding versus reacting, about praying beforehand. And, parents, that's how and again, you guys you have an 8, 6, 4, and 2, or one
and a half.
I mean, in the middle of the chaos. I mean, you guys are right in the middle of it, but you're practicing these things, and that is exactly how you become a crazy cool family. And you were saying it, Matt, you don't know when it happens. I remember I always tell the story of my kids saying, shut up. And I would say, don't say shut up. And they would keep saying shut up. And I would be like, oh, wow, my kids are stupid. They don't know any of that. I keep telling them to say, why don't they ever stop saying shut up? And one day I looked up, and I don't know when it was, but they didn't say shut up anymore, and they would tell the older ones would tell the younger ones, don't say shut up, because they had internalized it, and now it was a part of the family. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And are y'all seeing that happen? And
we are.
And how so?
And I think even Mackie on the forgiveness side, she will come and ask for forgiveness. Like,
really?
She realized she's
how old?
She's 6.
Yeah, so parents, think about that. That's a 6-year-old because you've modeled that for her, that when mom messes up, which happens sometimes.
And
you
dad.
know, and dad. And so many, often we think we have to be perfect. Actually, I think God loves it sometimes when we mess up because it gives us the opportunity to go humble ourselves.
Yeah.
And so
That's
now
right.
she's coming back. That's huge.
Yeah.
What does that look like? I mean, is it something she's doing on her own?
Yeah. Yeah. We don't usually force that. Well, there's times where we do say, let's, say I'm sorry, is what's something else you can say in this moment if they're fighting or something. So we do talk about forgiveness with each other, but when it comes with us, she's been doing that on her own.
And we've also talked about there may be other issues. She might be hungry or tired or for what other reasons, and she's like, I just don't feel good. I think it's that I'm gonna go lay down or coming up with the solution.
So she's
even,
withdrawing herself from a situation so that she's not damaging.
Yeah.
And she's 6.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about, parents. I mean, I think that's so cool that your kid and what she's learning now at a 6-year-old level, she will internalize and do, when she's 13, it will be at a more mature level.
Yeah. And
And
hopefully her relationship with God too, hopefully that same thing. She doesn't retreat away. She would go lean in.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And we
hopefully-
talk about her emotions with her, and let her know what emotions she's having, and that's okay. And then how we can help control those emotions, and that we need to pray for self-control so that we can get a hold of ourselves, in certain situations. And that's been really helpful for her too, because she can come back and say, Mommy, I'm really sorry. I'm just really tired and I'm not feeling that good right now. Will you forgive me? And it's like, okay, she's getting it.
Right.
Yeah.
And those are those little wins that you're talking
Yeah.
about, and you go, this is so. And what I was before I came over here. It was my 5th and 6th child, our 20-year-old and 16-year-old, and the youngest, the 8th grader, were there, and we were just making dinner, and they were going to church, to hub at the church, and it was just fun. And I think that's where you're heading. You're starting to get the sense of, wow, this can be fun. This doesn't have to be drudgery. This doesn't have to be control all the time. This doesn't have to be anger. This can be fun, right?
Yeah. Well, I think another cool thing we've really implemented from going through base camp is just seeing the value of relationships and how we want to teach them to have relationships with each other, and we've kind of been talking about that and just trying to create that culture in our home. And
How do you do that?
well, Matt says we're creating best friend memories all the time.
Right.
Even when we're
Oh, that's a great term.
when we're putting dishes up or whatever it is, when they're playing together, we're creating best friend memories. And
So that's a phrase, and I want to stop there because I think it's really cool. That's one of those phrases that they'll remember the rest of their life. And your parents, your phrase may be something different. You've thought of 3 words: best friend memories. Okay, you guys are using that consistently in your home, and they're adopting that, right?
yeah, well, the other morning, so like we said, we are homeschooling, and so we had been talking about that, and I got little number magnets for Sayer to put on the fridge and stuff. And one morning I turned around and Henry was teaching Sayer how to add and subtract. And that was
You didn't tell him to do that.
No,
Right.
no. But that was a huge win for us because Henry is not engaged well that way. So it was really cool to see him loving on his little brother.
And are they different personalities?
Oh, yes, night and day.
Yeah, and so sometimes that can be kind of oil and water. And instead, he's breaking through and really, again, in the role of helping his younger sibling, right?
Yeah, it was super sweet. And I was like,
Yeah, it was
like
great.
it was a huge win to see Henry doing something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
But we want to incorporate them now into, since we are homeschooling, we want to incorporate them into everything that we're doing and making everything a together moment or a learning experience, or, you know, into work and into play, and giving them options and giving them input, so where it's not just us directing at it, but we're coming up with these ideas and things as a family, and it gets their buy-in.
And
It's good.
are you seeing, especially with the older ones, that the more buy-in they get, the more pleasant it is, the more easy it is to implement what you want to do?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
And we can
usually.
blame it on them if it doesn't go as it should.
So let's, as we, start to land the plane a little bit here, let's talk about base camp. So we have, you've been doing base camp. We've been doing, all of us been doing base camp for a few months. A lot of short videos. Help parents understand. Either maybe some parents are in base camp or not, maybe even never heard of base camp. How are you incorporating this, and how is it, filtering into your family, what we're doing with base camp?
So for me, the videos are easy to watch just in the car. So I'll
Don't tell people you watch videos in the car.
am I watching it? I'm listening to
You listen.
Sorry, I'm not watching you. Yeah, I'm listening to the podcast in the car while I'm driving. And so very easy to do it. I like the text and the scripture just because it's a reminder just to keep Christ-centered, focused in my day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quick to get that text or get the a quick note of encouragement, and to it helps. It's just a nice little reminder throughout the day.
Yeah, I do it a little bit different. I mean, we can't really watch together. It's hard to get together and watch, but I really like that there's the questions that the parents can pop in and ask questions.
Right.
Because sometimes it just feels like, especially like with Mackie, I would just cry at night and be like, no one understands what this is like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, understands, because most people saw a totally different person, but with me, she was awful.
Right.
Awful.
She acted really well outside of the house.
Yeah, if I
Yes.
ever talk to anyone about that, they're like, "What? No, she's
Yeah.
so amazing. She's so sweet and mature and kind." And I'm just like, okay,
Are we seeing the same kid here?
it's not the same person.
Right.
So, like, for me, I don't always know people are going through the same things. So base camp is awesome in that there's that resource that.
Are you
parents
engaging in the Facebook community?
Yes.
And so that's one place that maybe
Yeah.
you're seeing that.
Yes. Facebook's easy too, because you can just hop over and see the posts, and you guys are really good at encouraging through the text and just being like, oh yeah, hey guys, check this out when you get a chance. And it's just good reminders, especially during this season of just kind of crazy going
So
on.
for kids, you do bedtime well. I mean, when do you wait to watch the videos? When do you get to engage with them?
I do videos. We have rest time. Like when our baby naps, we'll usually let the bigger kids have a little bit of screen time and downtime. And that's when I read my Bible and journal and kind of get caught up on podcasts and stuff like that. So that's usually when I do my time with it.
Those videos usually like 10 to 20 minutes. Is that a good time for you guys? Can you get through them?
Yeah, I think that like the 13-minute ones,
Yep.
the 13 to 15-minute ones are those are really easy to hop on, and I can watch them when I'm cooking dinner too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, like the kids can hear. It's not something I have to keep hush hush or that, So I'll pop it on at my kitchen counter while I'm cooking dinner too.
Yeah. Do you ever find that they're listening to it like we do that with our kids with the sermon at church? They sit in with us and then they get stuff out of it. Do you ever find that they're listening and you don't really think they are?
Yeah, sometimes. And we're close with your daughter Molly.
Mm-hmm.
She lives real close to us, and we're always like, that's Miss Molly's mom and dad. And so they're like, is that Miss Molly's mom and dad talking?
Yeah, that's our oldest daughter, Molly. And she's got a baby of her own. So we're trying to turn her into another crazy cool family as well. What else? As we wind up here, what would you guys? Anything you that we didn't cover that you'd love to share with parents about just helping them down the road on the journey? Anything about Crazy Cool Family, or anything that's just any concept that's really been particularly relevant in your life?
For me, I think just the power to create your own culture is underutilized. So if people don't like something about how they grew up or what they're used to, or they don't like something that's going on in their household, they have the power to change that because they're creating that culture. And we do the same thing at our work. We had a lot of tardiness from some of our employees, and I got challenged on, well, it's because you're accepting it, and it's an okay practice there. And so it really was the same thing. And once we started kind of cracking down on that and not having that be an acceptable policy, it helped change the culture a lot. And so same thing with our kids. I think if we have the power to make those changes and to course correct if things aren't working, just like the best friend memories, that's kind of one of our big slogans. I'm going to make sure that they remember that and they have that to where we can always be saying those things. And so I think if there's something that people don't like about their, something that's going on in their home, I think they have the power to change it and to correct it.
So good. Yeah, they definitely have parents, feel free to copy that. At the Best Friends Memories, you can, there's no copyright on that. So if you want to use it.
No royalties on that one.
That's right. Yeah. You can't get any money for that, Matt, Mr.
Okay.
Entrepreneur.
That's okay.
But those are good. Hey, that's one of the things that building community does. We get to copy things. We get to learn. We get to figure out who's doing it right. I love it that you're saying that, parents, you can change the culture in your home. If you don't like what's happening, work on it, but that which you focus on is going to be, come about. And and you were even with you, you were seeing that when you were, what you were focusing on was your anger, that anger was coming out in your home versus when you're flipping it, now forgiveness is coming out and the things that you've been changing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's made a huge difference. I mean, from about 7 or 8 months ago, we've seen a huge difference in Mackie's demeanor and how she responds, and just our whole family relationship to each other has just really blossomed a lot.
And I think that's just a huge thing for parents to hear. Is I see that all the time, that it takes 6 months to a year to really bring about that change in culture. You were talking about, Matt, it wasn't like everybody just started showing up on time the next day. It takes a while to change a habit. But if you'll do it consistently, we have such influence. You were about to say something, Matt.
Yeah, and I was just going to say with Henry too, on he doesn't like being necessarily told what to do. So there are some things when we have to tell him what to do. So we're kind of being creative on ways to get his input or give him some options where he can make the right decision and not just tell him, okay, hey, go brush your teeth. But all right, what are the 5 things we do before we go to bed? All right, here's the 5 things. All right, have we done any of those yet? Or, let him make the decision.
And so you may have to approach him differently
Right.
than you approach your daughter or, or things like that, right?
Yep.
But that's been the cool thing about Crazy Cool Family, because we have that resource and we have you guys to listen to and learn from and grow from and learn different slogans from, and just you can do hard things, or we have some other friends that have a really cool slogan. I can't think of it right now.
But you guys, and now what's really cool is, now that we've been doing this for 2 or 3 years, and really longer than that with the whole ministry piece of things, but really the book's been out a couple of years and things, we're getting families like you that are seeing the implementation of these things, and now you can be the voice, and you can show it's not just something that one family's done. We're seeing it in many, 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 and you guys are just so scratching the surface, parents. What I want to kind of end with today is that just the Lord's put on my heart is that if you'll do these things, you'll get to enjoy your kids more and more as they get older. We just got back from Arkansas, where we went to go, everybody, almost all of our family. It's very difficult to get everybody together, but we got almost we were probably 90%, and so fun. I mean, we spent 3 days together. We laughed. We did, we had fun together. We ate and we just enjoyed each other. And I mean, there's so many people there and everyone gets along because we started doing the things that you're doing when we were at your age.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah,
It's good stuff.
that is really good.
So
And I think one thing too before we go, as the community gets bigger, and as the growth kind of becomes exponential, I think it's going to be better for everyone in Crazy Cool Family or in the from the different groups, because there's going to be that exponential encouragement and growth, and those things are going to just compound. So an encouragement to other people to.
I totally agree. And let's end with that, is that just to encourage you guys as parents, you can do this, and you have a lot of influence. What you said, Matt, parents, you have a lot of influence over your home, and it is a great thing. So,
Yes.
Hey, thank you guys. I'm sure this would have been so much better with my wife asking questions too, but we would probably be longer as well. So
We would have started talking and it probably wouldn't have stopped.
but we so thank you guys for getting on, and blessings to your family and parents. I hope that you've gotten just a couple of things to take away and to get some power in your family to go influence your culture and to make things different in your home. So thanks for being with us, and go be crazy, parents. crazycoolfamily.com.